Welcome friends. One of the burning issues that I would like to highlight in front of you, and this is towards the goods and service tax input tax credit. ITC, one of the burning issues as of date. Most of the entrepreneur, the business owner, the taxpayer are more worried about that how to reconcile the ITC and get the availment of the ITC while paying the outward tax liabilities. This is one of the important exercise that taxpayers are doing as of date. Now, with an objective of one nation, one market, one tax, Government of India has brought the GST. Now, do you feel that when you have the reconciliation statement, when you are taking the input tax credit post reconciliations and to the extent what is available in GSTR 2B, would you feel that this is the good and simple tax? This is one of the important discussions that I wanted to bring in front of you. With effect from 1st January 2022, government has notified through the provisions that input tax credit, the entrepreneur, the business owner, the taxpayer can be able to avail to the extent what is available in GSTR 2B. What is GSTR 2B? GSTR 2B is a auto-populated statement which what you have filed the GSTR 3B, filed the GSTR 1. Basis of that the GSTR 2A is or 2B is auto-populated. GSTR 2A is valid before 1st January 2022. Now, with effect from 1st January 2022, the GSTR 2B is only that can help you to reconcile the input tax credit. Now, when we talk about good and simple tax, yes, of course, it is a good and simple tax. But to the extent what? When we talk about good and simple tax, you would have only one tax, namely called GST, that is good. You would have a simplifications and integrations of the complete market across India, that is good. You would be able to freely sell, freely trade to across India, even out of India. You would have the good and simple tax. But when it comes to reconciliations, when it comes to the availment of the input tax credit, it becomes like a garbishing tax. See the pain point of the taxpayer. Now I am telling you one of the example. If I am a supplier and I have the output tax liability is rupees 1 lakh. The outward tax liability is rupees 1 lakh. Now 1 lakh is my liabilities. Now after adjusting the input tax, my liability is rupees 50,000, let's say. The 50,000 which I need to pay to the government for that particular month, isn't it? Yes. Now what I have set up the 50,000, supposingly the setup of rupees 50,000 is basis of what the input available in our books of account, in my books of account. What is the consequences in that case? GSTR input that I have taken basis of what is available in our books of account and paid the net amount as a GST liabilities. Now what is the validity of the 50,000 rupees? The validity is that we have recorded the valid invoice, what we have received from our supplier. We have booked, avail the input. Now government said here that you cannot take the input what you have booked, what you have recorded in your books of account. You will take the input only and only what is available and what is the reconciled input in your GSTR 2B. It means any mismatch, whether it is invoice number, amount, HSN code, GST number, whatever the reasons, if there is any mismatch, you will not able to get those input. So now understand the pain point of the taxpayer. The 50,000 rupees get the ITC as per what is available in the books of account. Now it is because of the available input have considered in the returns, and in that particular month GSTR 2B is stating that you would have the input, that match input is only the 10,000. It means what extra input, that 40,000 you have availed, that you have to reverse in the next month and you have to pay with interest and penalties to the government. What is the objective here? That easy of doing the business. Are you able to say that easy of doing the business is connecting to the GST like how the provisioning here? One of the simple provision that I am quoting here. And like this, I will quote many more provisions and give the mirror to the entrepreneur, to the business owner, to the taxpayer, that what you have to do in that case. This is the real problem that you have to understand and make sure. Then when you are going to avail the input tax credit, you will not avail more than what is available in GSTR 2B. If you are availing more, then you are allowing to the department to issuing the more notices, and definitely department will enforce you to take the what extra input you have availed, that extra input as a outward tax liability plus interest or plus penalty. So now let you please understand this and keep your GSTR compliance basis of what government has issuing the norms. Don't go with your books of account, because books of account is not supersede the provisions what government is notifying for the GST. GSTR 2B is really a big problem for the entrepreneur, for the business owner, for the taxpayer. But at this point of time, you do not have any options. When you are going to pay the outward tax liability, make sure that what input you are availing, that input is reconciled input. That input is reconciled with your books of account, and what is the match input that you are going to avail, and pay the balance amount of liabilities to the government. Now what you will do where you have the mismatch input in your GSTR 2B? You will have an options to approach to your supplier, ask them to file the proper return, ask them to comply with the GSTR norms, make some strategic decisions that you will hold the payment of your supplier if they are not complying with the GSTR norms. And that would help you finally to keep control the GSTR. When you are controlling to your supplier by making the payment, less payment or partial payment, and asking to your supplier to comply with the GSTR norms, showing the proof what informations you have published in your GSTR 1, showing the informations by the supplier will help you to get the reconcile of the input what is available in GSTR 2B. Supposingly your supplier has erroneously shown the invoice number. In that case, what would be happen that you are not able to take the input, because what you have recorded the invoice, that is not matching with the invoice that is come in the GSTR 2B. In that case, you will approach to your supplier, ask him or her to make corrections here their GSTR, because here the revision of the return is not available. So what supplier can do here, that supplier will make the corrections in the next month and provide the file returns acknowledgement with the invoice number. So there is a detailed invoice number wise acknowledgement. Being a recipient, we need, and then basis of that you will see that in the next month of GSTR 2B that information is available as a match item. By doing this, you would be able to get reconcile of your GSTR 2B with the books of account, and once you have reconciled, once the data is matched, after that you will take the input benefit, and that input is a valid input. Most of the micro and small entrepreneurs, they have the bigger problem that they do not have the liquidity. By implementing these provisions by the government, by issuing these provisions by the government, the holding hands of the micro and small entrepreneurs is to the extent limited. Now what is the problem with these kind of entities is that they do not have more liquidity. So now when they are buying something from the supplier, they have legally bound to pay the service amount plus GST to the supplier. And now when supplier is receiving the amount, it means the persons who has paid the amount has already gone the liquidity. In the second terms, the persons, recipient is not able to take the benefit of those input for which the recipient has already paid the service value plus GST to the supplier. So now the double loss for the entrepreneur and the business owner. When you do not have the good liquidity, what would be happening at that point of time? Think about it. So GST or input tax credit is one of the mechanisms to take the correct input tax credit while you are filing the returns, and make sure that while you are filing the return, you are properly reconciling your GST or 2B, because if you are not reconciling or paying the tax, it means you are allowing to the department to issuing the more notices, and it will kill your business over the period of the time, because you will running behind the notices. So now what you have to do here is that make sure that you are properly reconcile your GST or 2B and paying the tax after reconciling. In that case, the chances, the probabilities of the notices would be little less. The government, by enforcing more to the taxpayer, collecting more and more tax. See the collections in the month of April, 1.68 lakh crore. Honorable Finance Minister told that this is because of the compliances. But if you see the taxpayer pain point, the taxpayer will say that this is because of the enforcement. Now you decide whether Honorable Finance Minister is correctly stated that this is because of the compliances or this is because of the enforcement. You can better analyze and do the compliance for your business. This is Sajjan Singh signing out. Until we meet again, thank you. Thank you very much.